Excellent. So welcome everybody. I'm Jennifer Nurick, and I'm coming to you from Gadigal land in Sydney, Australia. And it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Sheila Fawns, who is the new and illustrious President of the International Energetic Healing Association.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming on and doing this interview, because I know that so many people in the IEHA don't really know who you are, don't really know who's on the board, who's in the team. And it's so lovely, such a great opportunity to get a sense of you and who you are and your journey, because all of us in the energy healing field, we've all been on a journey.
We have indeed. Everybody's had a big journey. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. So before we start, I'd love to pay our respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging, and to the land around us, and really honor and treasure that in our hearts. All right, so I'd love to hear just how long have you been in the field, and a bit about your journey with energy medicine.
So I've been with the IEHA for about 4.5 years. But my journey with energy medicine is probably about 30 years. I started it in the late 1990s, which is, yeah. And yeah, I'd had a bit of a crisis in my life, and I was looking for ways to get more in touch with myself. And that was kind of what put me onto energy healing. And I did the journey with Brandon Bays, I did Reiki, and then I did Reiki Mastery, and then just I've learned a lot of different energy modalities over the years. I spent a long time with Master Choa Sui, who brought pranic healing to the world. A long time in Shanti group, where I'd learned a lot of different energy healing things then. And in the background, I also learned clinical hypnotherapy and counseling and coaching and trauma recovery and all different kind of modalities, which I think all tie into what energy healing is. Because if we're in recovery, recovering our energy, I think we need all of the parts of us to be brought back together, and I just feel that energy healing is just the most wonderful adjunct to anything that you're doing, anything at all. Energy healing just enhances it. So yeah, and I mean it's a bumpy journey, isn't it? I'm sure it is for everybody. You go through ups and downs, you think, what am I doing, what is this, and then you can't leave it alone and you go back to it. And so probably getting towards 25 years, maybe even a wee bit more. Yeah.
And do you see a big change in the you then and the you now?
The change is massive. Like when I started doing energy healing, it was a totally taboo thing. Like nobody spoke about it. Nobody spoke about energy. It was all very hidden, and and it was looked on as very woo-woo, very like hippie stuff and not something mainstream. Meditation wasn't mainstream when like in the 1990s. It just wasn't. Hardly anybody. Well, people probably did meditate, but nobody spoke about it. And a couple of years ago, I actually did a UPW thing with Tony Robbins, and I was amazed. I mean, because he has such a huge impact globally, and I was just amazed at how integrated meditation and energy and all of that was. And one of Master Choa's senior disciples actually runs his meditation side, which just blew my mind that it's so well accepted and tens of thousands of people are going to his workshops, and it's just become mainstream. It's marvelous.
Yeah. And as you talk about that, and I think about that scene, I feel this real settling in my system, like oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. And I think one of my reasons for joining the IEHA is I think it brings that community aspect of that we're not alone, that there's lots of us around the world doing similar stuff, learning maybe in different spaces, but and with different schools and different techniques perhaps, but ultimately in the end, energy is a gift, isn't it? Like it's not something that's unique to any one person or any one stream of consciousness. It is across the board for everybody.
Absolutely. It's kind of that thing of like, if you're alive, then you have some energy.
You do, you definitely do. Yeah, yeah. A lot of my journey, I think, has been about energy recovery, and I've been contemplating this recently. Like that. I think that pure energy healing, where you're working just on somebody's chakral system, and with that, that's very effective. But it's even more effective if you have those other things where the person's actually recovering from whatever they've gone through at the same time as receiving the energetic influence. It helps, I think, improve the results that people get.
And I love how you've mentioned that really it can be an adjunct. Is that the right word?
I had trouble with it too.
to any healing modality.
Yeah.
In my experience too. Very powerful. So, and a little bit about your journey with the IEHA. So, how long have you been in the organization? Kind of.
It's about 4.5 years. I was invited by a very good friend of mine to join, and initially I was like, "Oh, what's that about?" But I felt drawn to it, and then I met some of the women and men that are in the IEHA, and I just kept thinking, yeah, I wanted to withdraw a number of times. Like, I thought to myself, I not really sure what I'm getting out of this. But the more I engaged with it, the more I felt I was getting out of it, and so the more I went into it, the more I got out of it, which is, I think is true for anybody, even like, members that I might be sitting on the sides and thinking, what can I get involved in? Just get involved in something that the IEHA is doing. And with that, I worked a fair bit with one of the other team members, Christy Ismay, who was the president prior to me. And we did quite a lot of work around the global accreditation, which is allowing you helping people to get their courses accredited so that they have credibility in the field as well. And it's quite a strict process, and truthfully, as we went on with it, we made it even stricter. That's the truth of it. Like, we developed more questions, and we developed a better kind of layout of what we were trying to elicit from the people. And so that was really rewarding. It was really rewarding to do that, and to know then that anybody that was accredited was, had really been through a good, thorough process of, what was going on for them. And I think it gives, again, more credibility to the IEHA as well, because it is quite thorough. Yeah. Yeah. And the more I got into it, the more I loved just being with the people. It's very nice to go into any group where everybody has the same. You don't have to explain that you're an energy healer. You don't have to explain that you believe in energy or that you think it makes a difference. So good not to have to do that, to just know everybody's in it. Everybody does it. Everybody that's in the IEHA, we already all know the basics of it all, at a minimum. And some people are very, very well educated and studied in that field. So
Yeah. I love how you're talking about that kind of flow, and that you noticed as you kind of got more involved and gave more of your energy, that somehow you were receiving energy back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Funny that. It's just that sort of lovely flow, and then this lovely reciprocity, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And what changes have you seen? You already described around the accreditation, a big change there. Any other big changes in the last 4.5 years?
I think like I was saying earlier about the Tony Robbins thing, I think if I look back over the past 25 years, I think it's just become more mainstream that people accept that we are energy beings, we're human beings, and we have energy, and that our energy gets used for different things. And one of my big drains, if you like, was people pleasing. I was a chronic people pleaser. And that, like how when we have these behaviors, it can drain our energy. We unknowingly and unwittingly give our energy away to different things and to different people. And so that's been a big part of my journey, was, taking my energy back to myself and being about what's right for me, self-love, self-care, self-respect, all of those things. And I think being in the IEHA has helped me understand more of my value, and that contributing in the field that you've studied, I think that builds your congruency,
Mm.
and it was a big part of my recovery energetically. Um, yeah. Mm. Yeah, and across the board though, like if I look back into the 90s and even the early 2000s, it's just so different. If we look at apps, that have come about in that time, like, I mean, who knows how many meditation apps or energy apps or even card reading apps and all those things, like they're just everywhere, aren't they now? Like there's thousands and thousands of them, and none of that was available. So I think technology has actually in some ways helped spread the word about, all of the inner works that we can be doing, which includes energy healing.
Yeah, yeah. And so moving into the IEHA, so how do you see that role in the field of energy healing and globally, sort of the role of the IEHA?
I I'm an Aquarian. I have all these, if you study astrology, I have all these planets in Aquarius, and for me, it's a genuinely true meeting place for all types of energy healers who've all studied different places and have slightly different understandings of energy, but we can all come together and we can all agree that we're all energy healers, and therefore we can build, I think, again, I'm going to use the same word, credibility of what energy healing is. And it's a place for people to come and think, well, I'm interested in that. How can I find out more about that? So it's like a collective, of people who've come together, and it's not one school, which is for me one of the things that I love about it, is that it's genuinely a collective. It's not one school. It's not led by one person. It's a group of people. It's a team,
Mm.
and the team works together, and we all have to kind of be in agreement about quite a few different about anything that's going on, and then we actually use the techniques that we know, energy healing, to actually influence outcomes for whatever projects we're working on. Like the book that has just recently been launched has just been made into an audio book. So that's how I see it. I think the thing I love about it is that it's genuinely collective, where anybody that's interested in that field can come and get a sense of belonging, and you can come along and use some of the resources and find out more about it. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And what do you see? Do you have a strong vision for the IEHA over the next year, or sort of into the more distant future?
Yeah, well, I've been in the role now for a couple of months, and so it's been interesting over that couple of months just how much downloads, as I call them, like energy downloads of understanding of what's the next part and what's the next part, and it's a different way to lead a team, to a lot of businesses, but it's so helpful. Like it can so help the business community, as well. But for me, I see my role a lot about the membership, really focusing on the members and building the member base, but also providing even more resources than we have, and making those resources accessible, and at some point coming to the point, I mean, it all has to be done in kind of a logical way, doesn't it? And we have to have the resources to do that, but so that there are more resources and more places that within the IEHA that people can come to find out what they want to find out, whether it's, what's an aura, what is your energy body, what is energy healing, what are your chakras, like really basic stuff, and also more complex stuff. And I think that anybody that's within that organization has a right, as it were, to bring forth their unique standpoint into it as well. So I think that that's really important. And being congruent, I think, about using what we know to actually build it as well. I think that that's an important part of it for me. We have an energy team where we work on the actual projects, and that's one of the main roles of being the president. The president's, but it's a very honourable thing to do. It just sounds so grand. I love it, but it's also like, yeah. And I think building the membership would be one of the things, but also working more in alignment with the people who have got the accreditation, and bringing that more into, like, so that it becomes more well-rounded, I think, you know. So it's been around a long time. I'm not quite sure. I think it's probably 10. You might even know better than me how long it's been around. It's at least 10, 15 years, maybe, isn't it?
Yeah, more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it started out that, you know, people who had studied energy modalities couldn't get insurance, which has been a common thread for anybody. You know, I mean, chiropractic probably at one point couldn't get insurance, you know, because it was way out there when it first came about. And it brings it together. It normalizes a lot of the different things, which I think then makes it more accessible for people who are just coming into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And provides a really helpful support to the whole energy healing community. So practitioners, as well as people who would like to receive energy healing, because there's kind of a quality assurance
Yeah.
when they're insured, and there's insurance, which practitioners need. So it's providing a really important service.
Yeah. And I think from my perspective, it's way more than that. You know, I think it has the ability to really pull together lots of people from across the world who
Mhm.
have, you know, similar but different learnings and teachings around it, you know.
Mhm.
And we do have quite a few global accredited courses, you know, and it's quite interesting seeing how in a different country what they require is something a little bit different to what we need, what we require here in Australia. So there's a real growth mindset in that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you had some secret Sheila juice that you're going to bring into this role, what just intuitively, because this is, you know, what do you feel is kind of the secret Sheila juice that you're bringing?
What is the secret Sheila juice? Um, I think it's that genuine community building, and really being a place where everybody can come to, it's for people from all different places, all different schools. And I think I understand that with all my Aquarian energy in a way that's slightly different. And I've even felt a big enhancement in that since I started a couple of months ago, just that, yeah. And I think actually using all the tools that I've learned, you know, so sometimes, you know, I called it a download earlier on, but, you know, sometimes you can be thinking about something and you can overthink it, and I'm very good at that. But I find with this role that actually the easiest and best thing for me to do is actually just go inside and stay inside myself and feel and respond to what the energy is saying, like to what the energy itself is kind of asking, you know. And it's yeah, it's that feels to me the most, by far the most natural way to do anything, is to not push and say this is what has to happen next. Like in our last energy team meeting, for instance, I had six things. I thought, oh, what am I going to do? What we're going to talk about, you know? And I had six subjects, and when I read them out and then just took a minute to just sit with myself, it was very obvious which one to work on. And then it took up the whole of the 1 hour session, because it needed, you know, everybody had something to contribute towards their idea what was happening with it. And then we cleared it energetically. And already since we did that, we've had shifting possibilities of how to get the audio book out into Amazon and all those places. So I think that's probably the secret, Sheila, just is that I do follow what the energy is saying, and I don't try to put my own layer over it. I really do try to follow what is the energy asking for, rather than me saying, oh no, we need to talk about this. This is the most important thing. So it's more fluid, you know, more flowy. And I think that's a more harmonious way of working. I think everybody should work like that, in fact. Yeah, and I think everybody has the ability to do it. It's just that when you learn the skills, then you use the skills, you have a greater ability. It's like anything, it's like a muscle. You know, you build the muscle of being able to do that. It's not, you have to practice it, you know, and I've been practicing it for a long time. So yeah. And it was amazing, I have to say, you know, given that I'm new to this, so this was only the second energy team meeting that I had led, and it was absolutely incredible how much juice everybody brought to it, and the different perspectives and the similar perspectives was just equally as exciting, that people had similar takes on it and had, you know, things that they thought needed cleared. And we did a lot of removing around blockages, which is a big thing in energy healing, like what is the blockage to the energy flow, and then resolving what the blockage is, and then the energy will naturally flow. Like you don't really have to, you don't have to increase energy. You can actually just shift blockages, and the energy itself will just flow to where it needs to go. And it's the same whether it's in your body, whether it's in your business, whether it's in whatever kind of I was going to say object or project, you know, that you have, but like you can see a project as an object and actually work with it energetically, you know, which is a skill that you learn if you learn energy healing, you know. Yeah, and I had some great teachers along the way. Like I feel very blessed in all of the teachers that I've had, and I've also taught energy healing in a number of different capacities with different schools, and that was very rewarding doing that, you know. And I love when students, you know, when it clicks, and you know, they go from, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I can't feel the energy, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I can feel the energy. What was I talking about? That's a great feeling. Yeah, when somebody gets it, it's a great feeling for me because it's a great thing for them. Yeah, yeah, and you know you've done your job if you like, you know, that they've gotten it, they've had that little illuminating point. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I get such a strong sense of your passion, you know, your passion for energy healing and your passion for the IEHA, and also that very deep listening that you're describing, that kind of going still and listening to the energy and following that and trusting, because there's an element of surrender. And so I'm really excited as to where we're going to go in the next year or so and what that's going to look like. And whoever's been online watching this, thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to hit the contact us button and send us an email and ask away. So thank you, Sheila.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. That's been good. That's been great. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.